What's happening, everyone? Thanks as always for passing by the channel, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the videos. Big shout out to everyone who's been getting involved so far. Plenty to talk about the day. It's a later upload than usual. That's because yesterday I was very busy, and also I wanted to watch the big fight twice before giving my opinion on it, because wow, that was something special. Yeah, before that I just want to pay a little tribute to Marvin Hagler, the late great Marvin Hagler. It's a sad time in the boxing world. It's a sad time whenever any legend passes. Marvin Hagler was without doubt one of the greatest boxers to ever step in the ring. Certainly one of the greatest middleweights of all time. He's up there with Charles Monsoon or Bernard Hopkins. True legend of the sport. His fights with Tommy Hearn, Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard will pass into legend. And there's other fights such as his one against Mugabe, which is a very good fight, which is often overlooked, and boxing owes him a huge debt for the way he managed to put the sport back on the top. Also with how he lived the life as well. He was so straight edge, you know, he wasn't getting involved in partying and drugs and the celebrity lifestyle. He just came to fight. You know, even though I wasn't alive when his fights occurred, as soon as I kind of began having an interest in boxing, and you know, people older than me would tell me about the fights that Marvin Hagler had back in the, you know, kind of early 80s and stuff like that, and just how incredible he was. So my thoughts go out to his family and all those who are big fans of his. May he rest in peace. Alright, so onto the big story of the weekend. Chocolatito vs Estrada 2. Wow, just wow. That fight has set the standard for 2021 for sure, and it set the bar high. Just incredible. That was one of the best fights I have seen ever. Like, watched live. Just incredible. Estrada started off the more aggressive fighter in round one. Chocolatito was definitely taking it easy for the first 3 rounds, but Chocolatito came back really well. He had Estrada on the ropes in the 4th round, and he really began to assert his own aggression. He put Estrada under pressure. You know, also Chocolatito's jab was fantastic. You know, that was a near pitch perfect example of how to use a jab properly. Chocolatito really impressed me. Round 5 came along. Chocolatito looked fully in control. He went to the body, and Estrada just seemed to be covering up a lot more. He was throwing back, but mostly counter punches, and he just wasn't landing as much, whereas Chocolatito just seemed to be landing everything just with precision. And Chocolatito as well was the one who was setting the pace of the fight. And then you had round 6, which stood out to me as an absolute belter. Just both fighters going leather on leather, punches coming from all angles, neither man giving an inch, standing toe to toe, just warrior against warrior. It was just, oh, that one stood out. I mean, just a great fight overall, really. The 7th round saw Estrada kind of came back in the fight again, landing heavier shots, but then again Chocolatito managed to rally and put the pressure back on him, and as soon as he put that pressure back on, Estrada was on the back foot again, and Estrada actually dropped his hands a couple of times. I noticed, you know, from the 7th round onwards, there were a couple of times where he had his hands down, but Chocolatito was teeing off these amazing combinations. For, you know, he just brilliant. And Estrada as well, to be fair, got a few offers too. His body work was great as well, Estrada's. Another one which stood out was round 9. Chocolatito was just relentless in that one. His pressure just seemed to shine in that round. Then it just got better, really. I mean, the championship rounds, as we all know, 10 till 12. I don't know how these boxers were still able to go at that pace for that many rounds, you know, because rounds 11 and 12, you know, they just looked like they were fresh. They were just going at such a high pace and so fast and aggressive. But those final 2 rounds were nothing short of electric. Electric. They could have gone 15 rounds like the boxers of old day did. You know, and I wouldn't mind at all if they allowed some fights to do that. Like I said, Estrada's hands were down a bit more than Chocolatito's, especially in the 12th round. But the final round really was anyone's game. What an amazing fight. Credit to both boxers. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen. The skill on show is amazing. Chocolatito hits his shots so effectively. It's amazing. It's such a crazy and ferocious pace as well. Like, he has Lomachenko levels of skill in boxing. That's how good he is. An aggressive fighter that's doing everything so quickly and with such precision. It's scary. So, round of applause to both fighters, both camps. Eddie Hearn, DAZN, fantastic. However, we then get to the result. Now, what happened was this fight actually broke a super flyweight record. I read here, 2,529 punches were thrown. I mean, that's incredible. Estrada threw 1,212, landing 314. Chocolatito threw 1,317 and landed 391. So not only did Chocolatito throw more punches, he also landed more. But the judges' scorecards were, well, they were 115, 113 to Chocolatito, 115, 113 to Estrada, and 117, 111 to Estrada. Now that's the one which a lot of people are upset by, and it's understandable because there is no way Estrada won by that many rounds. No way. That is corruption in its highest form. That judge should be sacked immediately. Binned. Should never be allowed to judge in boxing ever again. I personally, see, this is why I watched the fight twice, so I could get a bit more of a kind of idea on how to score it. I personally had it 8-4 to Chocolatito. Even though I had Estrada winning my preview, I gave Estrada rounds 1, 3, 6 and 7, and the rest I gave to Chocolatito. Now you could argue that rounds such as 11 and 12 are kind of swing rounds which should go either way. So if you scored it 114, 114 draw, I have no issues with that whatsoever. Even if it, like I said, the 115, 113, so a 7-5 win to Estrada, I could accept. But 9-3 in favour of Estrada is just unacceptable. That is simply corruption. There's no other way to word it, because clearly that judge wasn't watching the fight. It's as simple as that. They weren't watching the fight. So some rounds were close, but that score is just, I just can't see it. Even though I had Estrada a win in my preview, I can't give him that many rounds. It's really disappointing that it ended that way. And seeing Chocolatito crying, you know, was really, really genuinely upsetting. He must have trained so hard for that fight. Like, yeah, he must have had a really grueling camp, and he's just literally fought his heart out in one of the best fights that we've seen in the super flyweight division ever. One of the best title fights of all time, you know, only to have the judges screw him over. Disgusting. But what I will say is the most important thing to take away from that is the fact that we had an epic, amazing night of entertainment. You know, boxing really does not get better than that, in my opinion. As I said, I think Chocolatito won the fight. Even if it was a draw, for example, I wouldn't have been too bothered. I would have been perfectly happy if it was a draw. But the result we got just wasn't great. However, I think it's important not to let a controversial result take away from the fact that this was genuinely one of the best boxing fights in modern memory. A magnificent display from, like, both at the highest level. They just showed such great boxing IQ, work rate, pace, everything. So the ones who really won in this fight were the fans, because of how good it was. Eddie Hearn, if you ever watch this, get that trilogy organised now. And I want to give Eddie Hearn and DAZN credit for getting that fight organised. Although I think Estrada will have his trilogy against Rung Visai first, which will be another great fight. And then after that, given the trilogy against Chocolatito. But credit to Estrada and Chocolatito more than anything. Best fight of 2021 by a mile. Make the trilogy. Epic fight. Loved it. And the next one was, there was Benavidez versus Ronald Ellis. wasn't too much to talk about in that fight, really. Benavidez looked good. He managed to get 11th round stoppage. Ellis held on a lot more than I thought he would, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see now where Benavidez goes, because I can imagine the likes of him and Caleb Plant and Jamel Charlo, they're probably all kind of waiting around to see what the outcome of the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight is. I think that's on 8th of May. I know Benavidez was literally calling out everyone in his post-fight interview. But fair play to the kid. He's literally, you know, he's calling for these big fights. He wants them, and I like that about him. So well done to him, and good luck to him wherever he goes. I really do hope. Him versus Canelo just intrigues me. So I genuinely do want to see him versus Canelo more than any of the other after Billy Joe Saunders. Because I think Canelo runs through Caleb Plant, he can get through Charlo. Benavidez is the one which just intrigues me, and let's see. So hopefully he can get that one. And then let's see what happens in the Superfly division between Estrada, Chocolatito, and Rung Visai. Very, very interesting time in that division. Great weekend of boxing, and let's hope that there's many more like that for the rest of 2021, because it's been great so far. Let's keep this momentum up. Peace.